Hello, everyone. How has life been for you? I'm sure it's pretty good for you, or if it's pretty bad, then I don't know what I can say. Thoughts and prayers. I'm kidding. Not thoughts and prayers. Okay, but something better than that at least. Okay, but welcome to the month of May, everybody. I wanted to do a highlights video on like stuff that happened recently, but I figured it's not very fun with that. I figured what is more fun than a highlights video is to talk about what I've been doing for this past 2 weeks, I would say. So, and it's a pretty exciting thing. So, I want to talk about the fact that I went cycling. That's right. It's a really nice cycle out here. I'm really, I'm not used to this, but I love cycling. I actually went cycling for a lot actually quite recently. I wouldn't say like a lot. I would just say like a few times for the past like at least 2 weeks. So I went to Punggol Waterway to cycle. I went to the one I'm going to talk about today is Jurong Lake Gardens. Reason why I won't talk about Punggol Waterway is because it's quite like just you know you're cycling along the waterway. There's not much, but it's still a very good place to actually cycle. I actually prefer, honestly, to cycle there more than cycling at. Slightly more prefer to cycle there than in Jurong Lake Gardens. But today I want to talk about Jurong Lake Gardens, me cycling there. So I've been cycling because I feel like nowadays I'm kind of like getting a bit in a bit of a weaker physique recently, so I wanted to kind of get into a bit more cycling. I haven't been cycling for a very long time now, so I wanted to do cycling, and what better way to do cycling than to rent a bike and cycle? That's right. I didn't actually. Here's the thing about renting a bike. It's actually pretty. I guess to my standard, it's a bit expensive because if you rent a bike, it's like I go to different bike stores and I actually rent a bike, right? The pricing is really kind of like pretty high. So the one I rented at Punggol Waterway before this was like $6. Was it $6? No, 12 $12 actually for 2 hours. Originally, actually, it's meant for 1 hour, but because they give 1 hour free as a promotion, but it's meant for 1 hour, $12 for 1 hour. So, which is pretty expensive. But it's like $6, I guess. But if you rent a bike using one of the bike sharing apps that you can download on the Play Store, I won't say which one, but okay, I'll just say it. I actually decided to rent a Anywheel bike. It's very simple to actually rent one of these bikes. You just go and download the Anywheel app, and you just rent one by scanning the QR code on the bike, and it unlocks. Actually, it's not like you have to scan it and then they tell you, okay, you can use it, but you have to manually unlock it. No, you scan the QR code and it unlocks it for you. So it's pretty good actually. I like that idea. Bike sharing in Singapore, it has been kind of an activity or industry that's been frowned upon for the past several years because of the fact that there's been a very constant misuse of the bikes. People throw the bikes in the canals, which is a bit strange. I don't know why people want to do that, but basically, generally people just abandoning the bikes. People just, you know, parking it in really obstructive areas. So yeah. So anyway, the idea is that yes, I rented a bike, one of the Anywheel bikes. So I basically, yeah, so I rented one and I went to cycle at Jurong Lake Gardens, which was just last Friday actually. I went to cycle there. And I cycled from the top to the bottom, which means this time actually I managed to cycle the entire park, which was a total of 8 kilometers, at least with what I actually cycled, the distance that I cycled within the whole entirety of the Jurong Lake Gardens was 8 kilometers. At least according to the app, to the Annual app as well, as they actually help you calculate how long or the distance that you traveled. One thing though is that I think if you want to get the exact distance, you have to keep your phone on at all times. Make sure your screen is on there, so that your GPS can detect every second of where you're cycling around. If you just keep it off and then you only turn it on in one point, it's like then you just see the route just be like 1 point here and then one straight line for like 5 kilometers to the next point. So if you want to get like an exact like cycling route, I think you have to leave your phone on for the whole time. Leave your screen on at least. But at least I've cycled at least 8 kilometers in the entirety of Jurong Lake Gardens. So I cycled from top to bottom, which means I've actually explored the whole park this time, or the entire of the gardens, I would say. Obviously, Chinese and Japanese gardens have not opened yet until now. They haven't actually announced when they're going to open. When they're going to open, actually, I will definitely visit one. I would say immediately, I guess. I'm actually looking forward to the Japanese garden. I've already visited the Chinese gardens before its closure, but I have never actually visited Japanese gardens before, so I'm looking forward to actually visit that one as well. But they're undergoing upgrading on the two gardens, so it's a bit hard to go and visit those, visit the two gardens. But anyway, yeah. So which means that now that I've explored the whole Jurong Lake Gardens, I've actually means that I've actually explored the lower half of the Jurong Lake Gardens. Because usually when I go to Jurong Lake Gardens, right? In fact, you probably seen my vlog on Jurong Lake Gardens as well, which I did in October of last year. I did a vlog to Jurong Lake Gardens, and that day, so conveniently, it just rained, so it was pretty cooling on that day. That's why I was like wearing a jacket over there. But so yeah, I mean, but at that time, I only explored the upper half of the park, but I never explored the lower half of the park. So now that I've explored the lower half of the park, there actually is more amazing views in the lower half as well of the park, and a lot of amazing views. And there is this one part of the lower half of the gardens is that I saw this big oval, which was it was really big, and this big oval also included you'd be surprised, it includes a Spotify barcode. If you scan like certain Spotify barcodes and it like brings you to a playlist and whatnot, you get it. It's basically works like a QR code or barcode, or generally a QR code in general sense. So it was really interesting because that Spotify code in that oval area, in that oval park, or that whole big ass oval that I saw while cycling there, there was, like I said, there's a Spotify code, and that Spotify code actually brings you to this playlist where it's an hour-long playlist where it plays a lot of chill songs, or rather, what they call it is, I'm not sure what they call it in that playlist. It's like it's basically a park vibe. So you can play this while you are running, jogging, cycling in the park, right? You can play this while you are, even if you're just chilling in the park, you can also play these songs in the playlist as well. So pretty fun. So I was quite surprised actually that they have this. It's just like what Singapore Airlines has recently they came out with their lo-fi music. This is like you can play this while you are waiting at your boarding gate. Just so it's pretty funny. But I mean, it's an interesting addition. It's a very interesting addition. It's in a park setting. Very, very interesting. So apart from the big oval, there were more lake views. Obviously, I mean, pretty much the whole park has a pretty good view. One thing about the on that day when I went to Jurong Lake Gardens, Jesus Christ, this was a really big thing because it was so fucking warm. It was so hot, not warm, it's hot. It's boiling hot. I went there and I was like wondering why it's so goddamn hot, and I went to check the temperature. It was like 34 degrees Celsius. It's like holy shit. And then the next day, the funny thing is the next day, holy shit, our highest temperature we hit 37 degrees, and It's like that actually matched the highest temperature of all time that we had in Singapore, which was back in 1983. So it's like wow, impressive that we managed to hit such a temperature, a 40-year high, they say. So it was really wild, but it is a bit concerning as well. I'm sure you know what's going on. Global warming, in a way. So yeah, so it was really hot, but I mean it's still a good day to cycle. Honestly, I really enjoyed myself, at least cycling around the area there. So yeah, so I think one part of Jurong Lake Gardens also that I actually saw as well, which was not included in the October vlog, but I wanted to kind of put this in as well. There's actually a new, because they only added recently. They didn't add it in October, by the way. They added it I think in December or something. I can't actually remember, but they added a new skate park, a new parkour area. That's right. You can go there and do parkour. Okay. The skate park, if I'm not wrong, I think is the biggest in Singapore. I recorded a footage, but like I said, like oh, it could be. I think it's the biggest in Southeast Asia. I'm like, I think back, it's like I don't think it's the largest in Southeast Asia, but at least it's largest in Singapore. So I give him that. I think that's more like it. So a new part of the Jurong Lake Gardens that opened recently, or a few months ago really, was this skate park here. It's actually a pretty large skate park. It's probably, I think it's the largest skate park in, at least in Singapore. I'm not sure if it's the largest skate park in Southeast Asia or Asia, but I think at least it's the biggest one in Singapore. So I mean, there's one section here. There's more behind as well. There's like a lot more of a bigger section behind. There's even an indoor skate park as well. So that's pretty cool too. I also realized there's also a parkour park here, or a parkour area, as you can see. They're also catering to people who do parkour as a hobby. Very nice. So yeah, that's the skate park and the parkour area. But there's also a Starbucks by the lake as well, which I don't really find very very fascinating. But it has I will be honest, it has a bit of a slight Australian feel. A lot of I wouldn't say a lot, but there are some Australian cafes that are also in such a setting where they have a cafe right by a very big lake. So just like well, if you ask me whether I saw one in Australia, because I went to Brisbane 2 months ago. So if you ask me, I did not see one. I did not see a cafe by the lake. But I mean, of course, if you go to the city area, you have a lot of cafes by the river, next to the Brisbane River. So obviously, yes, that's the case. So we also have it here as well. Starbucks by the lake. But this one is really like a cafe right next to a very big lake. Just the Jurong Lake, obviously. So yeah. So yeah, so that's pretty much it for that. So I think yeah, that's pretty much for my cycling experience at Jurong Lake Gardens. So it was a pretty nice experience. So apart from Punggol Waterway, Jurong Lake Gardens, I mean yeah, Punggol Waterway and Jurong Lake Gardens were the two parks that I went to cycle recently. And I think Jurong Lake Gardens also was pretty good, but I think it's just an exception though, is that day was really fucking hot. So I recommend you guys to not go there when it's very, very hot. Okay, best to just go there 3-4 o'clock. At least not so warm. I mean, everyone knows that. I'm sure everyone knows that you don't go there like 1 or 2 o'clock, which was the biggest mistake that I made on that day. It was that I went there at 1 and 2 o'clock. So I started my cycle actually at like about 1:30, I think. So then I went for like 2 hours. So 3:30, I returned the bike at a proper parking location. So Anywheel bikes, you have to make sure you park them at a proper parking location, such as a bicycle rack, which is usually more found in the HDB areas, or a yellow box. Yellow boxes are usually either found at They could be found at a bus stop, next to a bus stop, or even in the HBO areas also. They sometimes have a yellow box as well. You can, yeah, usually at bus stops. I think there are some that are at bus stops, some that are HDB void decks as well, but it would be easier to park at the bike racks because they're more easier to find than yellow boxes apparently. So, but there are yellow boxes in HDB blocks as well. Lastly, I think another place I went to on that day when I went to cycling at Drone Lake Gardens was the fact that I went to visit the distorted mirror and the illusion wall area. I don't know if I mentioned whether I was going to bring you guys to see this location. In the vlog back in February, I had a so-called vlog, which was titled "The Day in Ching's Life." Maybe Day in Ching's life. I think I unintentionally, accidentally brought back Day in Ching's life. I did not, but it's a vlog. But I feel like nowadays that when I'm vlogging, it's kind of like more chopped up in pieces, and it's like I'm just like, you know what, I'm just gonna come back home and explain what I did, and then put out these like low footages, which is likely what this video is gonna be as well. So February, like I said, I don't remember whether I think I did or maybe I didn't. I mentioned about wanting to bring you guys to this distorted mirror and this illusion wall that was right next to the place that I actually reviewed the Milo Ping. Pretty good Milo Ping, by the way. So I actually finally went to visit, or actually I at least filmed some footage for you guys to see. So about 3 months ago, I was actually, if you remember, I was sitting at a table in the void deck, drinking Milo Ping, and I think I was kind of considering whether or not to actually bring you guys to see this, but I've decided here we are. I'm going to show you guys. So this over here, these are distorted mirrors. So this is not your usual mirror. As you can see, holy shit, it's two of me. Wow, I just cloned myself. That is amazing. And then you go over here, I look a bit out of shape, but no, I look more like Chad. Now I look more like an actual physique right here. And this is me at the gym. Yeah, holy shit, look how fucking I'm like the Hulk now. And then over here there's more. This one just makes you more tiny and more tight, just more skinny in general. This also skinny. Holy shit. What the fuck. And then this oh my god, it's so hot today, so you can't really see that well, but this is like wide. This is like wide guy thing, makes you wider. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, this is the how the distorted mirrors are. This is how they function. It's not much, but it's kind of like a cool, interesting infrastructure here at this mini community area, playground and whatnot. Pretty cool. Well, if you can read this, that's very impressive. I mean, I can read it as well, but if you know what it is, put it in the comments. That would be nice. In case anyone doesn't actually know how to read, this is what it says, or at least half of it. It says like, the wall to illusions will have your eyes gathering information in the drain. So anyway, yeah, I think that's pretty much all for this experience of not experience of a lifetime, but I mean, it did kind of feel like an experience of a lifetime for me, because I don't really get to cycle that much because I don't have my own bike really. or rather my bike is too small for me, so I can't ride that bike anymore. And the fact that bike sharing app, the bike sharing scene here is a bit, but it has improved. Okay, and now that's why now I actually give it my trust, and I so-called invest in it, and I'm now interested to actually do more bike sharing. So yeah. I won't go into the details of Anywheel, but I will put in the description, by the way. If you want to download Anywheel, this is not sponsored, but I just recommend to you guys that to download Anywheel, because I would say it's one of the better bike sharing apps in Singapore, and it's one of the two big bike sharing apps in Singapore as well. It's actually easier to find an Anywheel bike than any other bikes, because yeah, I think this one has to be the biggest bike sharing app. So I'll put in the description the link to download it on the Play Store, on the App Store as well. I think I will try to find one, find the link to it, and yeah, you can go ahead and download it and go ahead and try it out for yourselves. And it's pretty good app, and it's easy to use. So yeah. Anyway, thank you for watching, and yeah, I'll see you in another video.